Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Saturnday. Well, sort of. Today we're going to be looking at something special. We're going to look at the evolution of the SEGA Saturn's game cases. This might seem weird, and I have actually done this video before, and YouTube decided to eat my video. So what I wanted to do right away was just give you a little bit of sort of like a backdrop. So first off, I'm going to unbox this. This is a brand new, you can still see, SEGA Saturn game. This is for a game called, what is it? Courier Crisis. Okay, it's from GT Interactive, and I think the date here, let's see if we can see together. 1997. So this would be, I don't know if you guys can even make that out. See, 1997. So this would have been basically, sad to say this, but this would have been a late release for the SEGA Saturn because Saturn was released in 1995, and by 1997, by the holiday of 1997, it was pretty much already dead. So it was really unfortunate. So what I wanted to show you was just sort of where does this come from? To a lot of you guys that are older, you're going to know pretty much where these long boxes come from, and they have their basically their heritage is the SEGA CD boxes like this. Same exact, I mean, it's literally the exact same case. It's the exact same thing. You just have a different insert for the Saturn, but other than that, it's identical. Now, SEGA CD originally had cardboard cases. Some games came in CD cases. It was just a whole plethora of different cases. But the Saturn's evolution is directly related to the SEGA CD. So, I mean, it's clear. You can easily see, I mean, they're the exact same case, right? They're literally the exact same thing. So with SEGA CD games, they were originally shipped like this. They had these little foam inserts like this to keep the disc locked in place. And then you had your instruction manual, and oftentimes you would have, see if I can get it out of here. Oftentimes you'd have like an advertisement or something like that. And you can see it's a nice color. But for the most part, inside, they were already black and white manuals. There were exceptions, like Working Designs and you know, companies like that would produce full color manuals, but for the most part, that's pretty much what you got, okay? So that's basically where the general design comes from. And all of the SEGA Saturn releases were in these original cases. There were some slight variations here. Some of them have these weird little plastic inserts, omega cheap, but all of them take up these dimensions, okay? Everything from early releases to some of the big modern releases, well, modern, newer releases, like say Duke Nukem 3D. This is a Netlink game, which I'm going to show you guys after, to even multi-disc games like Panzer Dragoon Saga here. This is a 4-disc game. I'm going to show you all of these in greater detail. And then, of course, all the way to the very last game, which was Magic Knight Ray Earth. Each one of these, you can see, they're exactly the same, right? They are. It's pretty much the exact same case. Like I said, there are some variations with some plastic here and things like that. And launch titles would have all been in these as well. I didn't think to grab something like Clockwork Knight, but let me turn around and see. I probably have one. Okay, instead of Clockwork Knight, here's a look at Bug. Okay, so this would have been from 1995, very early launch title. And there you go, okay? You can see that they're all exactly the same. So from a case standpoint, it's pretty much the exact same thing with the exception, like I said, of a very few minor exceptions sometimes with some of the inserts here. If you look very carefully, it's a regular CD insert, but sometimes they had these other things that looked a little bit different. Sometimes they had little bubble type things, but for the most part the cases were more or less exactly the same, which is interesting because let's just take all of this away. I'll show you why this is of some interest. You see, in Japan, games were on CDs like this, just a regular generic jewel case. You've seen this for music CDs and everything else, and tons of other games. But it was unusual that Sega did this in Japan, but in Europe and in North America, we were stuck with these giant long boxes. And I always thought that was really an odd move. For storage purposes, I mean, look at that, right? It's very, very unusual. But I'm sure you all know that Sega wasn't alone. The original PlayStation actually launched in North America with very, very similar cases. These things were just about identical, okay? The difference here is that this is actually, I don't know if it's going to show up, but this is actually plastic. So this, if I open this up, you see, this is same idea, okay? Except their little insert was significantly smaller than the ones that were with the with Saturn games, because this plastic part was a little bit, it was designed just a little bit differently. This did not last long. I think there's something like maybe 20 games, 30 games that are like this. The long box is what they're called. A lot of third-party game developers, you notice this case? It's identical to the SEGA Saturn case. Like, it's exactly the same thing. It's 100% identical. And this is interesting in the sense that, you know, once again, you get the thicker little foam insert there to hold the disc. But this didn't last long whatsoever. It really didn't. You had these two on the market more or less at the same time, and then boom, Sony went into this design. And they stayed with this design for the vast majority of PlayStation 1 titles. But what's so interesting is they changed quickly, like very, very quickly. This was released, when was Tomba released? 1997, but that's, I mean, way before 1997 they had already switched to those particular jewel cases. So I always found it odd that Sega didn't do that, that they kept these long boxes for the duration of the console's life. So let's go ahead and open this up. This has not been opened in almost 20 years, which is pretty remarkable. Let's see, can I do it without scissors? Oh, yeah. So let's see. I want to show you guys what some of these games came with. Back in the day, I used to get rid of a lot of the promotional materials and stuff like that. I was like, I don't really, care. All right, so here we go. Brand new SEGA Saturn game in 2016. It's wild. So we open it up, and hey, what's missing here? So this started a long time ago, where they would remove the insert, this little piece of foam here. I buy them in bulk today for games that I have that are missing, or when I get, games like this. You'll notice again, when I open this up, black and white, very standard stuff. It's been like, it was like that for a long time. People tend to forget, they're like, oh, I missed the days of full color manuals. Full color manuals didn't exist for the most part in a lot of games. For the vast majority of them, they were black and white to save on costs, even way back when. So you saw no inserts, no nothing. Just a simple instruction manual and you're done. No advertisements, no nothing. And this was a standard release in 1997 for the SEGA Saturn. So I'm going to move that over. That's a brand new, you saw, I just opened it for the first time ever. But I want to show you some other games, some of the differences, because you're used to seeing jewel cases like, well, no, not the SEGA Saturn one, but you're used to seeing jewel cases like this for like Final Fantasy VII, the thicker ones that have all the different discs, things like that. But what does the Saturn do? But before we look at that, actually, you know what, why not? Let's look at it. So when a multi-disc game like Panzer Dragoon Saga hit the market, what would you do? Well, I'll show you what they did. They did this. This was a very, very common thing for Sega to do back in the day, is they would release, you'd have your first disc would be just loose like this, and then you'd have other discs would be just like this. Now there were some variations. For example, let me just turn around and grab Enemy Zero. There were a couple of variations here, but not too many. For the most part, that's what it looked like. Okay, so here's Enemy Zero. So let's take a look at Enemy Zero. I actually think I'm wrong. Yeah, I am. I'm wrong. Okay, so Enemy Zero was much like Panzer Dragoon Saga. You got a whole wide assortment of discs on these sorts of little inserts here. And this one, I actually have all the inserts, which are kind of funny. This is, if you want to win a chance of Virtua Fighter 3 arcade cabinet, just fill this in. I'm sure it's still good. And then you had this $10 off 2 Saturn games. You see what I'm saying? Like, they were really pushing. This was 1997 as well. You had the World of Sega. They started to do this a lot. You'll notice inside a whole wide assortment of different games. And look at this. Some crazy stuff here. Not even sure if all these games came out, but so far it looks like it, yeah. And they have the NetLink stuff. Yeah. So you can see here, they had already started Sega on PC, some games. And then up here was the NetLink, and these actually did get released. Most expensive game ever is this one right here. Still don't have it, never managed to get a copy of it. So anyway, just remove this, I don't want it to get all bent. So Enemy Zero was a lot like Panzer Dragoon Saga, which means it's probably D, which D is right here. Yeah, I can already hear it. See what they did? They added like this little sort of, I don't know what the hell you call it, almost like a plate that sits in perfectly like this and has these little nubs at the top and bottom here which fit in to the top and bottom down here so that when you close it, it's nice and secure. So obviously you saw in these releases that you wouldn't put like a foam insert or anything like that. So let's just put that here. So what about one of these NetLink games that they were really hyping up? Well, for the most part, you'll see the exact same thing, right? Does this look familiar? Because it should. This is the exact same thing. This was the mail-in coupon. And then you had all the same, this was exactly the same. Exactly the same advertisement. With a NetLink and PC and the same thing, chance to win Virtua Fighter 3. Sega was doing this a lot on their titles that they were really pushing and really hoping, like they're big exclusives. This was an exclusive for the sense that it was, it had exclusive Saturn levels, and of course the fact that it was NetLink playable, so you could play it online with your friends, which was a big deal. This was the same thing. I mean, it was a big deal back then, but you'll see that all of these cases right now, they're pretty much exactly the same thing, right? Well, Working Designs was never one to follow along. So what they did, I put this, I don't recall, actually no, I didn't. No, that's an original. This too, I bought brand new. You'll notice there's no advertisements or anything like that. You'll see this is a full color manual. And if you read the notes at the end, it's actually really sad, this game, because it tells you that it's basically the last Sega Saturn game ever, and saying how they really thank their fans and what have you. Now, that's all I wanted to do for today, basically, was to show you guys just really quickly that it's funny how they never evolved their cases. They never changed any of their cases. When you compare to like the original Resident Evil, here's Killik, and then, you know, like I always found it funny that they never bothered to release the jewel cases in North America. I thought that was really unique, considering the fact that at the time anyway, Sega you know, they really needed to push this, and these boxes took up a lot of space that these ones didn't. It would have been easier for Toys R Us and, you know, places like that to store their games, but alas, no. So anyways, that was just a very quick special feature for Saturn Day. I thought you guys would appreciate something different. It's not exactly the same video that got eaten up by YouTube, but I figured it would be something interesting, show you guys some different cases, and the fact that they pretty much kept the same cases for the duration of the Sega Saturn's lifespan. Everything from single disc, multi-disc, and whatever, they all were in these big bulky boxes, and I always found that so strange when they had the jewel cases over in Japan. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. So next week we'll continue with our regular reviews of Sega Saturn games. Thanks for watching everyone. Take care.